lovelies, and welcome to Vlogtober day 5. It is very early in the morning. I am just about to try and get my work laptop to work. It's not been working for the last like half an hour, so I'm waiting to speak to IT and hopefully they can fix it. But today is just a half day in work. I have got to go to a hospital appointment in my local hospital with my respiratory consultant to see what we're doing about my lungs being the way they are. So we shall see what they say, and then I'm hoping to get some stuff done this afternoon if things go well, but we shall see.
I'm looking out from my window, sun's coming up like the day before. You're like a stone on my pillow, I don't make a sound when I shut the door. You don't have to wake up yet. We can spend all day in bed. I'll put the TV in the room, we'll have a Netflix marathon.
So I am back home from the hospital. I was gonna do a little clip before I got there because my hospital has notoriously bad parking, my local one, and like they've recently just increased the price. It used to be free beforehand and you literally used to have to drive around the car park constantly for like half an hour before your appointment before you'd get a spot. So I left at like 45 minutes before my appointment. The hospital is maybe 10-15 minutes drive away. And I literally just drove in. I initially got a parking spot, but then when I went to get out the car, I couldn't move my car any further over towards the other side because the car was parked too close on their side, and then I couldn't park any further like away from the other car because the van who took like the end slot of a row had parked all the way over onto the line for some reason. So when I tried to open my door, even if I pushed my chair all the way back, I couldn't physically get my hips out. It was literally too tiny a gap. So I sat in my car for a minute. I was like, right, I'm gonna have to find another spot, which is probably why that spot didn't have anyone sat there. A car had just gone from like the one in front, which was literally like a tiny micro car, like smart car things, are the only ones that would fit. And then luckily a woman behind me on a different row had just pulled out, so I was like, right, get my car into reverse, get into that spot. And then it was about 10-15 minutes before my appointment, and I started getting a panic attack because I was getting myself so worked up and anxious, which of course I walked into the appointment and they do like blood pressure, heart rate, stats, height and weight, all the usual bits, and my blood pressure was 160. It's normally 100, like 100, 110, so it was very high for me, and considering I'd only had it checked like 2 weeks ago and it was like I think 102 or 110, I think it was 102, I was, yeah, not doing well with my anxiety. And then I've come home, had a meeting with work, with some training that I really wanted to do. Even though it's annual leave, I wanted to be on the call. And I've spoken to my GP about my anxiety, and we've decided we don't know if my anxiety is causing the stress and the migraines as a trigger. And so what we've decided to do is try a higher dose because my mood has somewhat improved, not massively, but I don't feel as low as I did a couple of weeks ago. But my anxiety is not improved, and I feel like that's gotten worse and I'm having panic attacks now, which I never used to have. We've decided to trial up in the dose of the antidepressant he started me on. So we've gone from 50 to 100 milligrams of that, and then we're gonna plan like to speak again in about a month, like 4 to 6 weeks, and see how things are going. And we're hoping with a bit more time, bit more therapy, because I'm only like 2 weeks into doing CBT, we're hoping by that point it might help my migraines a bit more, but we shall see. I don't know. I think at that point, maybe if nothing's improved, that's when we'll refer to can't get my words out. That's when we'll refer to neurology. So we'll see what he says. And then my hospital appointment didn't go the way I planned. I was just checking my arm because I had bloods done. So my specialist respiratory nurse, so I have like a team at the GP's and then a team at the hospital, and basically even though I'm under the hospital, I still have to go for yearly reviews with my GP, and that my GPs are now merged. So the last time I had an exacerbation, it was about the time I was due an asthma review at the GP, and because they've merged, they now have a GP and like a practice nurse who specialise in respiratory conditions. So they are now doing like all the asthma reviews instead of the standard practice nurses that you see. And that GP was like, the only other thing, you're really, really good with your asthma in terms of like managing it day to day, but it's not well controlled. So the only thing like she could suggest to help was speaking to my respiratory consultant, because she thinks I need biologic treatment, and a GP can't prescribe that. It has to be under consultant care, and you have to meet certain criteria for it. So she turned around to me and said, okay, so your inhaler that I take twice a day, which has steroids, she asked me to use that off license and take multiple doses during the day, which unfortunately, when I'm on a rock and a hard place, and my asthma nurse, my specialist one at the hospital, really isn't happy, because basically doing that extra off license dosing has caused me not to need as many like oral steroids, which is great initially, but my asthma is not well controlled with it anyway, and because of that now it's impacted my criteria, like eligibility for other biologics. So some biologics you have to have like so many courses of steroids in 12 months, or so many like exacerbations and hospitalizations in 12 months, and there's one she suggested that I just meet the criteria for, which is a new one that's come out, and you have to have at least 3 exacerbations and courses of steroids in 12 months, and I'm just on the 3 before we change the medication, with me using it during the day when I shouldn't be. So she's not very happy with my GP, and I was like, but my GP was supposed to be speaking to you guys about it, and it's all just up in the air and very meh. But basically I'm now waiting for a decision, because she has now got to take me to, they basically have like a big asthma team meeting, and anyone they're not sure on like next steps, they present to this big team, and it's got all like the asthma specialist nurses, the respiratory consultants and things, and my respiratory consultant will be there. So at the hospital I only see him I think once a year, and then I see my respiratory nurses every 3 to 6 months, and she's got to present my case, see what they recommend. She's going to recommend to them that I start this biologic treatment, and then I have to see how things go basically. But I could get a phone call or some sort of communication in the next couple of weeks, because it'll either be this coming Tuesday or the following Tuesday that she'll do it at the meeting. So it's all just a waiting game now to see what they say, see what they suggest. But it's very frustrating. Feel very rubbish. I've also got quite a few breakouts. My head randomly has broke out in all these little spots. So I don't know if I've had like a reaction to something. See how it's all in little spots and little bumps. So I don't know if I've reacted to something, some product, but I've also got a lovely, lovely spot there and 2 baby ones coming up there. But yeah, we carry on, we move. But I think today is just going to be a chill evening. I'm going to order some dinner because I can't bother cooking, and just relax. Not too much going on. Put some Grey's Anatomy on and just chill.
Saxophone. We'll order in a bunch of food.